Thanks for the opportunity to address the board on this important issue. So I'll speak briefly today in favour of the resolution calling on our company to put short, medium and long-term targets in place for reducing exposure to all fossil fuels in both investments and underwriting. As has already been mentioned, global warming is an existential threat to Suncorp, and Suncorp needs to be acting like the fight to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees is the fight of its life, because that's exactly what it is. This resolution presents a coherent approach to fossil fuel exposures and is far better than the piecemeal approach that Suncorp currently has. Expensive climate-related natural catastrophes like storms, floods and bushfires are increasing in frequency, severity and unpredictability. And they're hitting Suncorp's bottom line, forcing it to increase provisioning for natural perils and reinsurance coverage, as Mr Johnson already mentioned. Suncorp's natural hazard payouts show an increasing trend over time, both as a proportion of net earned premium and as a proportion of gross written premium. This should be ringing very loud alarm bells for Suncorp's board, as it is for the investors that have supported this resolution. Insurance companies are responding to these effects by refusing to insure in some high-risk areas and increasing premiums in other high-risk areas. This is progressively shrinking our available market. Back in March, Munich Re and Insurance Europe warned that insurance in some areas was becoming unaffordable for low and average income earners. So not only is global warming shrinking our markets and increasing claims, but this refusal to cover ever-growing high-risk areas is also increasing the risk that governments step in and regulate, which is another threat to our bottom line. So Suncorp needs to be actively encouraging governments and fellow corporations to be acting to limit warming to 1.5 degree above pre-industrial levels and doing what we can to adapt to the physical risks it is posing. However, to have any credibility on the matter, we need to be doing our part by not making the problem worse. The biggest drivers of global warming are the coal, oil and gas industries. The science is clear that these industries need to be phased out as soon as possible, and Suncorp's policy needs to reflect this. About 2 months ago, Suncorp took the positive step of announcing a phase-out of its thermal coal business by 2025, thereby achieving 1/3 of what this resolution is asking for. However, while Suncorp's current exposure to oil and gas may be small, there is absolutely nothing stopping that exposure from increasing in both our underwriting business and nothing stopping Suncorp from removing or reducing the shadow carbon price in its investment portfolio when it's next reviewed. Oil and gas use combined produces more carbon pollution than thermal coal. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 1.5 degree report from last October clearly shows that oil and gas use needs to start falling in order to give us a chance of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees. So if Suncorp wants to claim that its business is in line with keeping warming below 1.5 degrees and in line with the Paris Agreement, as has been claimed today, then it can't be supporting the expansion of the oil and gas industries. There is currently nothing in Suncorp's policies or guidelines to assure investors that that is the case, or that will be the case. So to conclude, while Suncorp has taken a positive step recently on thermal coal, it's up to us investors to keep insisting that it takes a big picture view of this crisis with its physical and transitional risks. This resolution is intended to ensure Suncorp is acting sufficiently within its sphere of influence to manage and mitigate a risk that is already undermining the financial health of the company. It would afford our company increased credibility among its peers and in the public domain when calling for action to be taken on the climate crisis, and sends an important signal to markets that an urgent transition to a low-carbon economy is necessary. Thank you.